Welcome back, Airsofters. I'm JJ Moore. Today I got in front of me the newest speed triggers available, the Ultra Speed Trigger, and a little history of the company Speed Airsoft Canada. So let me show you some history and then we'll get right into the new speed trigger and why this possibly could be one of the best speed triggers available today. So 2011 was the very first speed trigger for AEGs, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up and show you what has changed on it. You take your stock trigger spring, you put it in there, but you have an internal adjustment and you adjust this grub screw right here, and as you tighten this grub screw it pitches the trigger forward and it gets you a little better contact. These are excellent and they've been around for a long time and they still work today. 2015, Speed released the HPA tunable trigger. You can get these in curved, which is similar to this, or you can get it in flat, which they call the blade trigger. This is the famous, what I call the OG speed trigger. And why these are so good and why a lot of people like them is because even though it says HPA, it will fit an AEG. So it comes with a very soft spring, as you can see. That's why a lot of people love them, and it has post and pre-travel adjustment along with a longer contact bar here. So what I do when I install these, and this is just how I adjust them, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people will do the same, is you'll install your spring first, make sure and back your screws completely off here. Sorry about the camera shaking. You want to back both of these screws off before you install it because you can damage your board if not. And this is your starting point. You want your trigger to be perpendicular to the gearbox, and you want your spring to be resting against the gearbox shell. Now, these triggers, if you use them in a gate tighten 2, you're going to want to block this hole because sometimes, depending on the position of the trigger board, it can cause a little glitch. But for HPA, these are money. These are the baddest boys around. Now, this actually rotates on the shaft. So if you've done any kind of tech work in airsoft, you've probably ran into the shaft being too tight in the gearbox shell. And even myself, all the time, I'll take a drill bit and I'll kind of clean these holes up to where the trigger is smooth, and that is kind of a little trick that I've always used to get super smooth trigger pulls and those nice little fast triggers. Okay, now fast forward to 2026. We have the Ultra Speed Trigger, and I just found these like a month ago. And I reached out to Speed Airsoft Canada and was like, yo, these are legit. About 2 years ago, a friend of mine, Roger, and I were sitting in my tech shop, and he had an MP5, and he was like, man, I wish my trigger could be closer to the contact button. And I was like, I just had this bright idea. I was like, let me drill a hole here, and I'll take the trigger board screw that goes here, and it had like machine threads, and I literally just went right through it. Since it's aluminum, it kind of cut its own threads, and I made it to where you could adjust the tap, tap, tap. 2026, these guys got the same thing and manufactured it. Thank you. So, why is this important? Well, just as I just explained, whenever you want to get your trigger to be closer to the button and you want to adjust the rake on it, as it's called, sometimes you have to tune this screw so far back to hit that button that your trigger is back here when it activates, which would look something like, let me see if I can hold it for you guys, which is going to look something like this. So your gun is all together and it looks beautiful, but your trigger is cocked all the way back to get the trigger pull that you want. So Speed Airsoft Canada went and made a screw, a grub screw, and put a nice, beautiful brass contact point. Let me see if it'll focus there for you guys. And put it in the trigger bar for you guys. So now you can adjust the contact point to where it contacts it early if you like, and now your trigger will be perfectly straight and tuned exactly how you like it. Now, as I was mentioning earlier about the trigger shafts being super tight, and this will be a good example here. This is a 3D printed gearbox that I made. If I were to put this together without doing some kind of fine tuning on this and grinding, this trigger would be very sticky and slow. No one wants a sticky or slow trigger. This trigger actually won't even fall out of here. So another upgrade they done was added a bearing in here. And if you've ever used a paintball gun, you'll notice they always have the smoothest triggers, and that is because of the bearing. Super smart idea. Speed, great job, guys. Now, if you notice, it looks like they have taken off a lot more metal. See the size of those holes? They've lightened the trigger for you, and they've also cut a nice little tactile groove in the front. So when you're pulling it, you have a nice little grip on there. It still has the pre and post travel screws, same shaft, same beautiful CNC machining, but you now have a ball bearing for your center, which is super cool because look at here. That baby is smooth as butter. And you have the rake adjustment. Now, if you remove these screws, you're going to want to go ahead and put a little bit of blue Loctite on them before you finish your project. What I usually do, honestly, is I'll put a little puddle of Loctite on the table. I'll take my Allen and I'll just touch it. Just a tiny amount is all it takes. And then I'll touch it to the thread right there, and then I'll back it out and screw it back in. It's on there. It's all it needs, a tiny amount, y'all. So, how smooth is this trigger? Well, we're going to put it in here, just like I just did that one. And I'll show you, it actually goes like this. It still rotates. Look at this. That's crazy, right? So if you want the easiest trigger to install, I'd recommend getting this bad boy. Now, we're going to get into one more part of it, and this video will be concluded. The packaging. These guys are nuts, and out went my Allen wrench, and these guys are crazy, man. They literally went and made the coolest packaging you could possibly get. Not only does it come in a snap closed package, stapled shut so you can tell if it's been messed with, but they 3D printed a little tower to keep the box from getting crushed. And there's your spring right there on the side. And when you flip it on the back, you could show your customer, or you could look at this before you purchase it, exactly what is different on it. You got weight reduction, the ergonomic design. They're talking about the front little grips. The pre and post travel screws are still there. The dual ball bearings. Also, you can retain your safety. I forgot to mention that. They've made it to where whenever you change your HPA, you'll see a lot of HPA replicas without a safety, because the safety bar gets bound up whenever you're tuning a speed trigger. And the way the rake adjustment is now, you don't have to worry about that. Also, the rake adjustment. So that's all printed on the back for you. I do want to make sure you guys know this little trick that they have. So when you install this trigger, in some gearboxes, you'll see I'm actually hitting this little post right here. It barely may or may not snag it. And if it does, you simply want to take a Dremel and take about 1 millimeter off of this post. And on one of the ones I've just recently did, I just took a little bit off the front here, and it clears perfect. You don't want to break this post off or grind this post away, because then your trigger board is not going to stay locked in. That's what locks it in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you what's in the box. This is the 10 years. Go check out Speed Airsoft Canada's video of the birthday cake. They had 10 different speed triggers poking out of a cake for their 10-year anniversary. Super crazy, right? I love it. So when you open it, you'll see the 3D printed stand in here. You'll see 2 pieces of paper, and you will see this nice black 1.5 Allen wrench, hex tool, whatever you want to call it. I call it Allen wrench. One of these is going to explain how to modify that post that I was just showing you. And the second one is going to be the instructions, which have never been included before. Now they have step-by-step instructions on what you need, how to tune it, all the new changes in the Ultra Speed Trigger, which is amazing. And it also tells you to please put blue thread locker on the screws when you're done, because recoil and movement can cause them to vibrate loose and change your adjustment, sometimes causing the replica to not fire. So we're going to go ahead and drop this red Ultra Speed Trigger in my F2. This is the Polar Star Firestar build that I've been working on. And we'll drop a little tune in there real quick and see what you guys think. Y'all could say pass or fail. And as I stated before, I've already gonna back these 2 screws off here to make sure we don't damage the board when we put it in. And we'll even back the rake in just a little bit. Now, every time you turn these screws, you're taking your Loctite off, so make sure you go ahead and replace that Loctite, as I said before. And it doesn't take much. I'm serious, y'all. Just a tiny amount. I'm not even going to say a drop. Just be Loctite on there. All right. Now we're going to take... Woo! That's a beautiful sound, isn't it? Now we're going to take my top half of my board, and we're going to put it there. And we're going to drop a Phillips head screw in there just off. So you could pick them up at Battalion, I would say, in a few weeks, or you can order them on Speed Airsoft Canada. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is push my trigger to where it fires. And if I don't like the angle of it, I'm going to show you how to fix that. All right, so you see how it's canted backwards? I don't like that, so I'm going to take the trigger. I'm going to set it where I want it. I want it perpendicular. Now I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to adjust this rake. And you can do this in your gearbox also. All you have to do is leave your gearbox shell open and hold the trigger still, and then you can adjust it just a little bit at a time. It's not hard at all. All right, now we're going to go until I get the perfect tune that I want. All right, so we're going to go until it fires. It's a lot easier to check these with the battery in it. So go ahead and hook your battery up when you're checking it, and just don't use any air. Okay. Well, I thought I heard it. Thought I made it fire, but it didn't. We're going to keep going. Thank you for supplying this, Alan. We want to go until this thing fires. And now it quit firing. So now we're going to, it's just moving around. It makes it go off, so that is where we want it. Now we're going to back it off a quarter turn. Now our trigger is perfectly straight. So quarter turn was a little too less, so we're going to do one more quarter. And this is going to keep the trigger from being unsafe, because you don't want your trigger so short that you accidentally do a desk pop, do you? Well, I got to move the wiring where I can see it real quick. So we're going to hold that wiring up there. I done twisted it all up. It's kind of hard with a camera in your face, man. There we go. Now we're going to back it off a quarter turn here, because you can hear it going off just by me moving around. There we go, quarter turn. Now we're going to adjust our post travel. So we're going to go until it's tight, until it touches the back wall. Now the trigger won't fire, and we're going to back this off a full turn. So now you got fire, and then you got a little extra. Fire, a little extra. If that's too much for you, you can go quarter turns at a time. This is exactly how I do every airsoft gun that I build. You want to have a little before it clicks and a little after it clicks. And now you got that beautiful trigger. Thank you guys for watching. I know this was a long video. Hope you enjoy it. You can pick up any of these speed triggers on Speed Airsoft Canada's website. Thank you, Speed Airsoft, for sponsoring this video. And I hope that you will find this video helpful. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm JJ Moore. Y'all have a great day airsofting and get those triggers right.